This episode is brought to you by the Slash and Cast Podcast Network. There are legends around here.
Who died in Meiji, fucking king of the zombies?
Even if only in their own minds. Forgotten, but not yet dead.
I want to play a game.
Some have tried to stop them, but they keep coming back.
Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Coming to entertain you. They are the Crystal Lake Soldiers.
Welcome back to the Crystal Lake Soldiers podcast. My name's Isaiah, joined tonight by Mark and Ted. How are you guys doing this weekend?
Doing really good.
Pretty good.
Great. Glad to be back with you guys this week. We are going to be talking about our favorite and least favorite directors tonight. Before we get into all that, though, what have you guys been up to this week?
Well, today I just went with a friend to my very first ever pre-release event for Magic, so I got to. It's really cool. So basically you get 6 booster packs and you open the booster packs, and then from that you make a deck. So you're not allowed to use any of your cards that you already have, and then you play against each other. And it was really fun. I've never done a card game event before. It was a lot of fun.
Do you believe in magic?
Yeah, we found a new store, man, and it's really cool because they do events on Sundays, which is the best day for us to play. And they have super fair prices. A lot of other stores we go to, the prices are so high, it's just easier to go online, but they're competitive with online prices. It's a really nice place to play, so we're probably going to keep playing there. We finished Invincible.
Okay.
And that show, I would say that I would call the last 2 episodes the finale. And the finale to that show is probably one of the best finales I've seen on any TV show ever. It was so good. If you like superheroes or comic books, I highly recommend that show.
Okay.
As far as movies, we still haven't watched the new Conjuring movie yet, even though we've been planning on it. I haven't really watched many movies. Just been trying to get back into playing games. They got the new Fortnite season, so we've been playing that. And that's about it.
Not too bad. Not too bad at all. What about you, Ted?
I've been watching a lot of movies this week from my Vinegar Syndrome stuff. Like I watched Alien from LA, I love that movie. It's also one of my favorite Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes. So again, it's just nice to have the movie itself on disc. Donnie's Bar Mitzvah, which is wild and a crazy movie, really funny. Both Scanner Cop movies, fantastic transfer from Vinegar Syndrome. Those movies are great. Prospect really surprised me. That was a really good sci-fi movie about a girl and the guy having to survive on this, trying to get off this planet. It's really good. Watch like Old Dracula, Play Dead, which is one of the most ridiculous movies I've seen in recent years, about a dog that not just kills people, but murders people. It's fantastic. And the dog actually picks up a curling iron and throws in a bathtub to electrocute a woman. He actually poisons a person in a movie. He actually takes a can of poison, poisons their drink. It's great. And it's all played straight too, like, which makes it even like more ridiculous and silly instead of it being like a goofball movie. It's you just gotta check it out. It's crazy. I was laughing throughout the night watching that the other night. I mean, and I watched like Best Friends, which was a weird movie. A Perfect Strangers from Larry Cohen. That was a really good movie. I've been going through so many. There's more, but it's a lot of movies. So that's pretty much all I've been doing is just chilling. Like Surf 2. I watched Surf 2. That's great. I watched the director's cut. That's a fun movie with Eddie Deason as the villain. I love it.
Nice.
I love that movie. So I'm so happy that Vinegar Syndrome put that out in a 2-disc collector set, which is great. Lust in the Dust I watched with Lainey Kazan, Tab Hunter, Divine. That was a fun movie. I enjoyed that one. So yeah, just been watching movies, enjoying them. Got to hang out with our friend Dawkins Friday night after he's been in and out of the hospital for the past couple of months. So he's doing a lot better. And so it was great hanging out with him. And Sean was with us, and it was really fun hanging out with him the other night. Played some Friday with him, so that was good. And my nephew was with us too, so that was fun too. And my nephew was playing other games, but it was still fun. So yeah, it's been a pretty fun and chill week. Yeah.
Now that Prospect movie is that one of the partner labels movies?
It is, and it's great, man.
Okay, because I remember seeing that. I was thinking about picking that up. It was just another one of the ones I haven't picked up yet. Did you watch? I'm trying to remember if you mentioned it. Did you watch Six String Samurai yet?
I haven't yet.
Okay,
that's one I haven't watched yet.
Got it. All right. Just wondering how that turned out. Just 'cause I haven't had a chance to take a look at that either yet. That's definitely on my to watch list because I've got like a pile of to watch movies that I'm getting ready to watch here probably this week. So that's definitely in there as well as the Scanner Cop movies and a couple other miscellaneous ones from them from the last sale. So
the Scanner Cop movies are great.
Yeah,
and the two part documentary on both those films are great too.
Okay, good to know.
I mean, like Patrick Kilpatrick. Like that dude's like in his mid 70s, but he doesn't look it, man. He looks like he could be in his late 50s, early 60s. I mean, he's taking care of himself. Apparently, he looks great. I was like, darn, man. I hope if I make it to that age, I hope I look as decent as he does.
Right.
I was like, geez, because that dude he does not look his age.
No, definitely not. That's great. All right, yeah, so I'll have to add that to my keep that in my list and make that a priority to watch this week for Six String Samurai. For me, it's been kind of a more relaxed week with watching movies. I haven't really watched a whole lot this week. I'm catching up with Schitt's Creek. I'm almost through my second watch through that. I'm in season 6 now for that, so. That's going pretty good. That's mostly what I've been watching this week is just at night, especially just trying to get used to this new schedule because it was my first week in this new schedule, and I'm just like totally out of fucking whack with my sleep schedule and everything. So I usually been using that to kind of just relax and just wind down for the night. So I've been doing quite a bit of that. Watched Last Drive-In. My best friend actually came down. I hadn't seen him in a while, so... we watched that. They showed what was the movies? Evil Speak, so the classic Clint Howard movie, and then they showed a foreign film called Day of the Beast, I think. So that one was interesting. Basically, this priest just finds out when the Antichrist is coming and decides to go on this sinning binge and just like do every kind of sin possible to communicate with the devil and to try to stop the Antichrist and all this shit. It's fucking weird, but it's a very interesting movie. I do highly recommend it.
That kind of sounds counterproductive.
I know it's so weird, but it's
the world's coming. Let me say as much as I want.
Well, it's to try to stop the Antichrist from being born because he figures out the day that he's supposed to be born and all this, and so it's supposed to be Christmas Eve of 1995. So
such a random year.
It is. But I mean, the movie was made in 95, so. But anyway, so that it was a good episode of The Last Drive-In. Next week is their season finale. It'll be interesting to see what they have there. And then, other than that, I went to the movies yesterday, and I went on a date, and we ended up seeing In the Heights. So it was a musical. So not a whole lot to really watch. Oh, and I did watch a little bit of old school wrestling. So a little bit of It was WCW I watched this week, and a little bit of AEW, just trying to catch up on some of their stuff. So I did watch some AEW from this week, but other than that, that's all I've really been watching. Otherwise, I've been sleeping, or at least trying to sleep. My whole fucking schedule's just all fucked. Not falling asleep until like 1 a.m. and then waking up at 5. It's been fucking terrible. But it'll just take a little bit for me to get used to, so it'll be good though. I'm looking forward to having my weekends back and honestly getting off early during the week and being able to come home. Because like with being in this fucking apartment, it's always a fucking struggle to try to get laundry and shit done because there's one unit for 8 apartments basically, because each of our buildings has 8 apartments in it. So trying to find days to do your laundry when you've got families living in the same building and there's only one washer and one dryer, it gets fucking crazy trying to do laundry around here. I hate it. I really wish I had an in-unit laundry set up, but I just don't here. But
so there's no place for you to have one in your apartment?
Nope. There's like certain ones that do have it, but those were like almost $2,000 a month.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard enough trying to pay $1,300 a month for an apartment, so
yeah.
Because on top of that, I mean, I pay for all of my utilities too, so like none of them are included with my rent, so it's hard sometimes. I really miss owning my own place, that's for sure. So that'll be nice to be able to come home early during the day and being able to get like laundry and shit done. But that's about all I got really going on here. So I did want to touch on a couple things with regards to just a little bit of news that's been kind of making the rounds this week. So obviously we've been talking a lot about the Evil Dead game. They've released like the gameplay trailer this past week, which looks fucking badass. They also released like the cover art for the game itself, and we basically got confirmation that Henrietta from Evil Dead 2 is going to be in the game. We've gotten confirmation that Evil Ash from Army of Darkness is going to be in the game. So we've gotten some new characters that are supposed to be in the game, which is very exciting, and just kind of seeing just how the gameplay works looks fucking badass. I'm totally hyped for this fucking game.
I want miniature Evil Ash as a playable character.
Wouldn't that be fucking great? Just being able to control like a bunch of them.
Yep.
What if they could do it like if you killed Evil Ash, but you didn't really kill him, it just split him into the mini Evil Ashes?
Oh god,
and they're all like jumping up on you,
poking you in the eyes, dumping the boiling water down your throat. I love it. It'd be
this
great.
game looks great though. I can't wait for it.
It's giving me hope for another good horror multiplayer game, that kind of brought us together like Friday the 13th. It'll just give us something new to be able to play.
Yeah.
So what the Predator was supposed to be.
That ended up being a letdown. Even though it's still fun to play.
I told you guys, didn't I not tell you when that came out? I was like, this game's not going to be as hyped up.
You jumped in before I was going to say the biggest letdown about that game was Ted never played with us.
Uh-huh.
I played the free weekend, but I knew playing it. I was like, this game's going to fizzle really quickly, and I was right.
It did, and honestly, it is a fun game, but if you're playing by yourself, it's not fun. It's one of those games you got to be playing with people you know. Otherwise, it's really just not that fun because it is repetitive. I mean, the map is repetitive because there isn't really anything different. I mean, they make a little changes to make the map look different, but it basically looks the same no matter what you do. So I mean,
wasn't it like $50 when it dropped? Like
no,
it was
40. So it wasn't. It wasn't the full 60 like a normal video game.
Okay,
but I mean, still, it's.
We had fun. I mean, we did that streaming like what, a year ago, 2 years ago, whenever it was that we did the free weekend together.
Yeah, it was about a year ago, a little over a year ago, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun, but I was just like, yeah, this game isn't gonna last as long like Friday did. It's like I know it's not. And I was right. Nobody talks about it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that we've really heard about is they have their anniversary thing coming out with like some new stuff, but it didn't even that seemed very underwhelming. From what they announced. So I don't know. I mean, it had a good premise. The gameplay was pretty good. It's just overall, it was just kind of just underwhelming. It wasn't as exciting as what they did with Friday the 13th. And obviously IllFonic was involved with the development of Friday the 13th, the game and all that. But I think a lot of it just like, coming off of Friday the 13th, the game with everything that you could do in there and kind of going to that. And unfairly, it was compared to Friday the 13th a lot because it's definitely not Friday the 13th, and it's definitely a different type of game. But at the same time, it's just there was nothing to really kind of set it apart.
It's still like an asymmetrical kind of game.
Yeah, it is.
But it is a lot different. You got the shooter aspect, which for me was the biggest letdown from the game because the shooting mechanics are not that good.
Yeah, no, it really wasn't.
And playing the Predator was really clunky for me. It was hard for me to understand the controls, and
It was. I agree.
Trying to get up into a tree sometime was very counterintuitive.
It didn't work very well sometimes. It really didn't.
It's just easier for me to run around screaming. That seemed to help. Just hide in a bunker or something. Forget this.
At the same time, the little bit we played, I had fun.
Yeah.
I don't regret
it was fun
buying
playing.
No, I definitely don't regret buying it, and I would still even pop it in to play it now if we were able to get everybody together to play it. It's just not top of my list of wanting to play. It is what it is. It was a letdown overall. Just they could have done so much more with it, and they just unfortunately didn't. So even just different maps, getting an urban setting, like Predator 2, just something just so it wasn't always in the fucking jungle like it was, because it just, and as cool as it looked in there, it was the different map setups just weren't different enough.
You know what would have been good?
What's that?
The Grendel map. I will never let that go.
No.
After seeing the fan stuff, the fan makes of it today, I'm so angry. I'm angrier than what I was whenever they announced that we weren't going to get it because of the lawsuit. I was like, this is bull. We should get this. I mean, they just wasted their time on other stuff when they should have been like finishing the thing out, and they could have like patched stuff up if it was like bugs and glitchy. But nah, they just took our money and were just like, oh, sorry. But then people on the PC have modded it and have gotten the game files and completed. And it looks amazing. The kills look good. The map looks fantastic. Uber Jason looks beautiful. And I'm more angry now at the company than ever.
That was the biggest cock tease ever. Ooh.
It was.
Jason X and the Grendel map. Nope, sorry, not happening.
No.
Oh, wow.
Paranoia mode. Nope, never mind.
That made me upset, probably more than the Grendel and Jason X map, because the thought of getting a new game mode in that game was so good. And I mean, honestly, we had fun when we made our own version of it after they fucked all that up. So when we've streamed that before, and that was a lot of fun. Just kind of doing our own version of it, which was fucking just so great and so much fun. We spent a lot of hours doing it that way too.
Yeah.
But
I remember shooting you in the back. That was the greatest thing ever. I was like, I'm not Jason's friend. And you turn your back, and I was like, goodbye, Dad. I think Sean was Jason, and I started dancing around Sean, and Sean was doing his version of a Jason dance.
Yep.
That's some fun times. Remember that time when I was teamed up with what's his face, who's like just horrible as Jason. And I was like, you know what? Let's just kill Jason. I don't care. I don't want to be his helper. I was like, I'll help kill him.
God, it's too good.
Ted, you're a turncoat.
He is. You can't trust Ted in video games.
I don't want to say the name on the podcast, but y'all know who I'm talking about. Hey, are you Jason's friend? That guy. That guy was Jason, and I'm just like, this. Why'd I get stuck with it?
Oh, I remember. Those were the days. God, it just reminds me of all the fun we had with Friday the 13th game. Like in the beginning, before they fucking turned off team killing, when you would have somebody that was being just a dick, and we would just turn on them and just fucking kill them,
hunt them down,
and just fucking murder them. It was just so much fun.
Even when they turned it off, we were like, you know what? Let's just get in the car and start running people over. Don't like it. I'm going to report y'all. Y'all are going to get banned. Like, yeah, sure.
How many times did we hear that? Like every fucking night?
Nobody got banned. Bunch of freaking wine sissies. We'll ban you. We just run them over again in the next game.
Yeah, the whole Jason Kills Bugs website. I swear to God, you just sent something into them and like nothing ever really happened.
Oh, I didn't even know they actually had a website.
Oh, they did.
Stuff.
Yeah, because they stopped taking stuff over like Twitter and shit like that, and they just created a fucking website to report bugs and like glitches and other shit, that was happening.
That I did not know.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's funny. Oh,
good times. The few years we had Friday the 13th game. Not that the game's dead, but it basically is because they took dedicated servers away.
Yeah.
Oh well.
So the host quitting ends the game and everything. That's
annoying as shit.
Yeah.
Now you have to basically play in a private fucking server just to even enjoy a game. Mm-hmm. If you have that many people still playing.
Doc and I, we got to play 2 games before we got tired of playing, and it was actually a good lobby. The host didn't quit until after the second game. I guess they were done, but we got to play 2 full games, and it was good.
Nice.
Of course, we were playing with people who are like at level 7, level 10, so it wasn't really all that challenging.
I love it. So long tangent there, but yeah, that's what's going on with Evil Dead the game here. The other thing I wanted to touch on is, did you guys hear about Troma Films partnering with drive-ins, basically, in the AGFA to release 70 classic Troma films?
I did not hear that. No.
Yes, so they
So like Squeeze Play,
The First Turn On, Sergeant Kabuki Man, and Toxic Avenger are some of the top ones, obviously, that they're going to be doing. So yeah, so AGFA is teaming with them and everything, and so yeah, so it's going to be drive-in theaters. I'm just trying to look up some more information because I don't know if they've had like a listing of drive-ins yet, and I'm not seeing anything currently, but that's kind of exciting that they're
like Squeeze Play and Waitress on Blu-ray. That'd be great. Have those remastered.
Yeah. So it's a great opportunity to get some of Troma's stuff out there back into theaters, and obviously drive-ins are the perfect way to do that. But then also to have the AGFA involved and all that, that's good too. So I'm super excited because I'm hoping that maybe some of the drive-ins that are around here will do some of this because I would love to go and see some Troma at the drive-in. Mm-hmm. Oh, they actually do have a full list of like the movies that they're doing. So you've got stuff like Bloodhook, Bloodsucking Freaks, Bugged, Cannibal the Musical, Class of Nuke 'Em High movies, The Father's Day, The First Turn On, Frightmare, Graduation Day. So on and so forth. They've basically got most of their fucking movies that they're known for.
I can do without Graduation Day.
Yeah.
That movie was so boring.
It is. But yeah, so that's pretty exciting. So I'm hoping that we get more information on that soon because So it looks like currently they're just taking the theatrical bookings, starting immediately, but there's no like listing of theaters as of yet. So hopefully get that here shortly. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up too. And
is it just theatrical stuff, or are they going to put like some of these on like Blu-rays or something?
This is just for showing at drive-ins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got my hopes up.
Sorry, Ted.
No, Waitress is on the list. I'm looking at it now. Darn.
Yeah.
I would love to have that on Blu-ray.
It would be good. It definitely would be. Kind of keeping with the theme of Troma here really quick. Just a little bit more news regarding the Toxic Avenger remake, and I know we were talking about this before we started, Ted, but Kevin Bacon is actually playing the villain in the remake for the Toxic Avenger. So that's just a little bit more news about what's going on with that movie. So I'm all for that. I'm still kind of leery about this remake, but I'm totally on board with Kevin Bacon being the fucking main villain in this movie.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's cool.
The synopsis sounds interesting for a remake. It's a little different, so
yep.
It's almost like it's keeping in the same spirit of the original. They just tweaked it, so I'm interested in seeing how it's gonna do or how it's gonna play out. I mean,
yeah,
they have some really big shoes to fill, in my opinion.
They do.
Oh, they do. They do.
I'm in the same boat as Isaiah. I want it to be good, but I don't think it will be.
I mean, if they go with the R rating and they're not going to be, wimps about it, then it could be, interesting.
I guess a better way to say it is it's not that I don't think it will be. It's just I'm not letting myself get my hopes up on it.
Right.
Oh, I'm not hyping it up. I'm definitely not getting my hopes up. Just the synopsis sounds interesting.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how it all plays out, because I'm not getting my hopes up like you, Mark, and because Toxic Avengers got like a special place in my heart. I mean, it was obviously the first Troma film I've ever seen. I mean, and growing up with that and Toxic Crusaders, like I watched that shit at a young age, and I probably shouldn't have. But at the same time, it's something I grew up with, and so just have them remake it and trying to make it more mainstream, I just don't know. I want it to be good, because I would love to see a big budget Toxic Avenger movie, as long as it's done right in the same vein as Troma would do it. It's got to have that Troma feel, I think, in my opinion, because if it doesn't, and if they just trying to do their own thing and just trying to make money off this fucking name, that's going to be a letdown to me. So,
do you think they'll explode a little kid's head in the movie?
That's definitely not going to happen nowadays.
Yeah, I doubt that would happen nowadays. But
Warner Brothers or Legendary Films, whatever, they're not going to let that happen. Remember, these are the people who, well, I don't know if it's the same executives again. This is the same company that's like, we need Josh Whedon to take over this Justice League movie,
and
put jokes and Marvel it, make it like Marvel.
Man,
we saw how that turned out.
I posted a video on Instagram of me opening some Pokemon cards, and Warner Brothers hit it for copyright, and they don't own Pokemon, but they won the dispute.
That's so dumb.
What?
It's owned by Nintendo.
How the heck is that even possible?
Warner Brothers put a dispute saying I was putting up some of their property.
If no, they don't own Pokemon.
No, they don't.
That's funny.
Didn't they like distribute like the first couple of movies or whatever, and that was it?
I don't know, but that wouldn't give them rights to the card game.
No, it wouldn't. I'm trying to think. Why would they? That's crazy.
It's so dumb.
I'm like, whatever, you can have it. It was just a stupid 60-second video of opening some cards. It's just Instagram. No one cares. I just thought it was funny.
Right.
Actually, they lied about it, Mark. What they really meant to say is that they own you, not the Pokemon. We own Mark, and he's not allowed to have anything on Instagram.
So you're saying I should have been wearing the special sunglasses that would say all my Pokemon just say consume?
Yes, yes. I love it.
Obey, consume, marry, and reproduce. Nothing says marry and reproduce like a set of Pokemon cards.
Yep. Hey, that's where a lot of kids learned about sex, because you bred your Pokemon to get eggs.
Wait, what?
That was
Wait
in
a
the
minute.
game. You had to take your Pokemon to the daycare, and you had to leave a male and a female, and then sometimes you'd come back and they'd have an egg.
There you go. And that's how life happens.
My Pokemon goes to like the very first few games.
That was in the very first few games.
In the first generation, like the
Yeah,
blue
the
version,
Pokemon
the red
Breeder.
version?
Yeah, it was in maybe not the blue version, but the very next one.
Was that like gold and silver? Where
Yeah,
That's
maybe.
okay. I didn't get too far in silver.
But yeah, breeding Pokemon was in the original like 90s games.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Interesting.
I love it. All right. Well, that's all I had for news. Did you guys have anything you guys wanted to cover here before we get started with this looking at favorite and least favorite directors?
No, let's just keep going so I stop thinking about Pokemon fucking each other.
Well, just a second. There's a new Blu-ray of Pokemon Season 18 coming out. No, I'm just kidding. I was just gonna say that the Vestron release for the Wraith has dropped dramatically in price. It's $12.99 now, like on Amazon, and pretty much everywhere. It's really cheap, so it's a good way to go ahead and pre-order it if you want to.
All right. Sounds good. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and let's talk about some of our favorite and least favorite movie directors. Who wants to get us started here?
I didn't want to like add them as my favorites, but I did have a couple honorable mentions to throw out real quick.
Okay.
Was just because they're newer. I really like Ari Aster and the things he's doing.
Yep.
But I don't think he would make my list of favorites. And then the same thing with John Krasinski. His two movies have been really good to me, and I'm really excited to see what he's going to do going forward. But I don't think either one of them have earned their place against the greats yet.
Right. Those are definitely some good call-outs because, yeah, they've done some really fucking amazing shit for the movies that they've done so far. And it's exciting to see where they will probably end up going, in the years to come as their careers really start taking off. And kind of Robert Eggers is kind of in that same boat, too. I really liked the movies that he's done.
Yeah.
Because Lighthouse was fucking amazing. Even The Witch was pretty good too. And he's got another one that's coming out here. What was the Northman or something like that? I think that's what it is.
I don't know.
Let me look that up really quick because that's gonna bug me otherwise.
Just this in, John Krasinski is tapped to direct Mos Eisley Cantina, a Star Wars story. No, I'm just kidding.
I'd watch the hell out of that, Ted.
But John Krasinski would probably be great.
Yeah.
Get Rainn Wilson as like some Space Dwight or something.
There you go.
He's like the shitty bounty hunter that you give all the dumb jobs to.
That'd be great. Guys, I think we've made a movie.
There you go.
8 seconds.
Michael Scott would be like the like middle management for the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Let's change it up a little bit. Like copyright CLS podcast. So Disney, you can't take this now. It's copyrighted.
Shit. And yes, it is called The Northman is his new movie, so I did remember that correctly. That one's got Willem Dafoe too, so that's going to be interesting. Anything with Willem Dafoe, I generally have to watch, so that should be pretty good. But so those are some good honorable mentions. So what do you guys got on your list then?
You can go first, Mark.
I mean, I can. I was just giving you the space if you wanted to. So, I think my favorites of all time would have to be between the three of my favorites would be George Romero, John Carpenter, and Wes Craven. As far as the old timers that I think they're set in stone, it's going to be really hard for somebody to come by and knock these three directors off of their pedestal.
Sure.
Nightmare on Elm Street's one of the best slasher movies ever made. I love the Scream franchise, even though that's like either you love it or you hate it. John Carpenter, Halloween, Vampires, so many good movies out of him. And then you got George Romero, who is the godfather of zombies, and he directed my favorite movie of all time. I feel, in my opinion, those are the three best horror directors of all time.
Sure. No argument for me there. All right. Well, what do you got, Ted?
I like it when you whisper my name like that, Mark.
Teddy bear.
Do it again.
It's
all right,
your turn, Teddy Bear.
Ooh. All right, so my list for favorites. Well, since Mark already mentioned George Romero, I'm not going to mention him. I'm going to start with Larry Cohen. I really like his movies. He made so many different types of movies over his entire career. I mean, like he had the It's Alive trilogy, which is about killer babies, which are really good. I love that trilogy. And then you have something like God Told Me To, about people who are killing other people because they heard the voice of God told them to. So very different types. You have like Q the Winged Serpent, which again is something completely different. and like Perfect Strangers, which is a good drama, crime type movie. So Larry Cohen, he's fantastic. Lucio Fulci, I really like. He's just like Larry Cohen, could do different types of movies. Everybody knows Lucio mostly for, he did some zombie movies and they're really violent and bloody, but he did a lot of good thrillers too, like The Psychic, which I really like. It's a good thriller and builds up the tension. And that movie doesn't have like any gore or anything like that. It's just tension. It's really good. Clint Eastwood, I love him. There's only a few of his movies that I really don't like. Most of his movies are fantastic. I think he's a great.
Yeah.
He's got another movie coming out soon, so I'm definitely going to be there to check it out. I love him. He's a fantastic filmmaker, and he's still pumping them out in his 90s. So keep going, Clint. More on the independent side, also, I would say Charles Band. Charles Band's made some questionable movies, but I respect him very much. He's kept his company going, for many, many decades, like Lloyd Kaufman. And I always have to check out whatever he's directed next. And I'm a big Full Moon fan. That's a big part of my childhood growing up, especially when I was getting more into the movies, like in junior high, things like that. So Charles Band. And then number one, my favorite filmmaker of all time is John Carpenter. I love his movies. Yeah, Halloween, obviously, but you got Assault on Precinct 13 is great.
Yep.
Someone's Watching Me and Elvis, the two TV movies he did in the 70s, at the end of the 70s. Those are great movies too. Escape from New York, Christine, The Fog. My favorite movie of his is The Thing. I love The Thing. It's fantastic. Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, They Live, Body Bags, Vampires, Village of the Damned, Escape from LA, which is an underrated sequel. I like that. I love that sequel.
I've never understood the hate for that sequel.
What's that?
I said I've never really understood the hate for that sequel. I love that movie.
I haven't either. It's a fun movie. It's just it's entertaining. The Ward I liked. It's not his best, obviously, but again, I didn't mind it. Memoirs of Invisible Man. Again, that's a movie I don't hate. So really, there's, I love his movies. I love his style. I love
where he places the camera. I love his type of storytelling. I think he's just fantastic. And we may never get another movie directed by him, but you know what? He's left us with so many good ones that, you know, he doesn't really have to.
Yeah. I like it. For me, obviously, Carpenter's definitely up there. So is Craven. Obviously, Nightmare on Elm Street being my number one favorite horror movie of all time because it was the first horror movie I was ever exposed to and experienced. I mean, that's huge on my list. So definitely Craven is there. Carpenter, in my opinion, made the best suspenseful horror movie of all time with Halloween. I mean, I think that movie's fucking perfect, and I know I've said that many times on the podcast. Just I think it's the perfect horror movie. There's nothing really bad about that movie that I can even say. It's so perfect. So they're definitely high up there. Romero, obviously, because Dawn of the Dead is the one movie that made me want to make movies. And so I have such love for all of the Dead movies. So Romero's definitely up there. To kind of go beyond that, though, a few of the other directors that I really like. Number one, James Wan. I mean,
Yep, he is on
you've
my
got
list,
Saw.
absolutely.
Yep. You've got the Conjuring movies, Insidious. I mean, anything horror related that he is directing has been very good. I mean, the one kind of letdown was that one, what is it, Dead Silence, I think is what it was?
Yeah, about the
With the
child
puppets
that-
or
The
whatever?
puppet, yeah.
That one wasn't necessarily a letdown, but it wasn't as good. But even then, it was still a halfway decent movie. But yeah, basically anything horror related that he's done, I've fucking loved, and I'm super excited for Malignant once that comes out here, you know, later on in the year. So I'm super pumped to see that. It's just everything horror that he's done has been very, very, very good, and so that makes him one of my top directors for horror. On top of that, you've got Edgar Wright. I mean, Shaun of the Dead. He's got that new movie, the Last Night in Soho, that's coming out that looks really, really good. I mean, he even beyond like the horror stuff, you've got Hot Fuzz. You've got The World's End, Baby Driver. I mean, he's done some really fucking good movies. And so he's definitely up there too for me for directors. Danny Boyle's another one. You got 28 Days Later and Sunshine. Sunshine is such a slept-on movie, and it's so fucking good. It's probably one of my favorites.
I love that movie so much.
It's like my favorite science fiction movie, and then it's got that horror element to it, especially in the last half of the movie, where basically it turns into a slasher movie, and I fucking love that. It's such a turn with kind of the theme of it, and it just makes it so much better in my opinion. It's such a good movie, and it sucks that it's so slept on. And he's just a phenomenal director. I don't think there's been one movie that he's made that I haven't liked, you know, even beyond the horror stuff. So those are kind of the ones that I had. I was trying to think if there was anybody else, and I can't really think of anybody else that kind of really sticks out.
I have a couple that I wanted to add on.
Yeah.
I just wanted to highlight the ones that I think are like reigning kings in my opinion. But I love Guillermo del Toro. He's amazing. Sam Raimi. I love everything Sam Raimi does.
I forgot
One
about
that
Sam
comes
Raimi.
up. What were you gonna say?
I said I forgot about Sam Raimi. I mean, Evil Dead. I mean, how can you forget about that? Jesus Christ.
And there's one that I'll always have faith in because I just love everything they've done so far. Is Fede Alvarez?
Yes.
What was it? Don't Speak, or is that what it was called?
Don't Breathe.
Don't Breathe. That movie was amazing. The sequel sounds kind of wonky, but I'll still watch it. And I think he's just on as a consultant for that one.
Yeah, he's just producing it.
Yeah. I had another one. I don't remember. I guess we'll just go with that before I bring up the ones that I don't like as much as other people.
All right.
Unless you guys wanted to expound on any of those. What was that?
I can't really think of anything else. I mean, we've kind of covered like kind of the main ones, honestly.
I mean, and it's not to say that there aren't other great actors
Yeah.
out there, but I was highlighting the ones that I always have faith in when I go to see their movies.
Oh, definitely.
If we had time to talk more, I would have thrown in George Romero. I would have thrown in Stuart Gordon, because Stuart Gordon's fantastic too. May he rest in peace now also. But yeah, so I just put things down like 5 for each, because both lists can be long.
Oh, definitely.
The ones that would get the most that would seem the most interesting to put on a list is the ones that I did.
Oh, you know what? The other one I would add to my list is Lloyd Kaufman.
Yeah,
Lloyd Kaufman also was.
Lloyd's pretty good.
I've got all of his movies on Blu and DVD.
Yeah.
Troma's War is just fantastic.
I love Troma's War. I fucking love.
Sergeant Kabuki Man.
Yep.
I love with all my heart.
That's probably beyond Toxic Avenger. That's probably my favorite Lloyd movie.
Yeah.
Well, that and Terraformer's pretty good too. I mean, Terraformer's just gross out fun. It's just classic Troma, 90s Troma. But yeah, I definitely have to put Lloyd there just because obviously his movies aren't the greatest because it's trashy fun, but he is makes some of the most entertaining movies I've ever seen in my life.
If I had to pick my top 5 Lloyd Kaufman movies, it would be Waitress, Toxic Avenger 1, Troma's War, Sergeant Kabuki Man, and then the last one's it's hard to pick between Terraformer and Toxic Avenger 4.
Mm-hmm.
that last spot's hard to fill, but that's how it would be. I just love Lloyd. Uncle Lloydie.
I love
it.
it.
My first introduction to Troma was the Toxic Crusaders cartoon. I was like in the first grade when I saw like before going to school, this weird cartoon with the character called Toxic Avenger came on. And I was eating it up, and then it wasn't until when I was like, I want to say 11 or 12, when I saw the VHS in Hastings, when Hastings was still mostly just a rental store back then.
Yeah.
And I was like, I saw the Toxic Avenger, and I was like, hey, that's that guy from that cartoon I used to watch when I was like a little kid. So I rented it, and I was like, this is not like the cartoon. See the kid get his head run over and all this other stuff. I was like, what the heck? That was a great introduction to Troma.
I love it. All right.
Well, I really only have 3 I can think of that seem to get a lot of popularity that I just don't really care for, and that is Eli Roth, Stanley Kubrick. I feel like the older I get, the less and less I actually like The Shining.
Sure.
And Jordan Peele. I mean, I respect him for doing his own stuff and being successful, but a lot of his writing, it just does not resonate with me. And that's about all I could come up with I'm sitting here looking at a picture of Rob Zombie trying to decide if I like him or not. Because I do.
You like the Firefly trilogy,
but I don't at the same time.
Sure. You like the Firefly family.
I like the cartoon he did, the El Super Beasto. I thought it was really funny. I feel like 31 was such a huge missed opportunity. I feel like it could have been the best movie of the year, but it was just done dirty by Rob Zombie, in my opinion. But
he's a hard worker there. I love watching the documentaries on his movies because
he's an artist.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, he knows what he wants, and he's going to get it.
So
I respect him.
I respect him enough to keep him off of my list for no-nos. So I'll stick with the three I chose: the Eli Roth, Stanley Kubrick, and Jordan Peele.
Okay. I like it.
All right. Well, on my list, the 5 that I decided to present this evening. First, a big one, Dario Argento. I'm not a fan of his. I think he's overhyped. He has some good movies, like, you have Phenomenon, you have Deep Red, Suspiria.
Yep.
And I know he's responsible for Opera, but I think most of his movies are bland, boring. I don't think he's an interesting filmmaker at all.
I've only seen a couple of his movies.
Yeah, I don't like his style.
Demons was fun.
What was that?
Demons? That was Dario Argento, wasn't it?
Well, he didn't direct it; he produced it.
Okay. Well, I love that movie.
That was, wasn't that? Oh, Demons is great. I love that movie too. And I like Demons too. Also, those are both good movies. The first one's the best, though, of course. But
Of course.
what wasn't it? Lamberto
Bavi?
Bavi who directed those, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So Argento, his directing, I don't much care for. I don't find him interesting. This won't surprise anybody. David Cronenberg, I don't think he's great. I love Scanners and I love The Fly, and that's it. I haven't seen Videodrome yet still, and I don't feel like paying $25-$30 to buy it to check it out because I'm afraid it'll be a disappointment. But yeah, David Cronenberg, not a fan of his. His stuff usually bores me. Those are the 2 movies that don't bore me, and I love those 2 movies. But yeah, I'm not a fan of his. Eli Roth, the only movie that I think he's done that's good was really Death Wish.
I really do love Death Wish a lot.
Yeah, with Bruce Willis. I really like that movie. Like, Cabin Fever is entertaining, but it's not a good movie. I mean, it's just not. The Hostel movies are not good, and I have no interest in, like, the Green Inferno and stuff like that. I don't like his movies.
You don't like Pancakes?
I like Death Wish. What's that?
You don't like Pancakes?
I said Cabin Fever is entertaining, but it's not a good movie. Didn't I give it like a 2 or something in our rating?
Something like that.
I think so. I don't quite remember.
Well, I mean, it's not great, but it is entertaining. But Michael Bay, of course, his movies are just like loud nightmares. Just they're an attack on your senses. Just, I really love Bad Boys, the first one, since he directed that. Bad Boys 2 was just, I don't hate Bad Boys 2, but it's not a great movie. Armageddon's just blah.
I hate that movie.
Transformers, I gave the first Transformers movie a pass because I heard about the budget, so I understood why they were focusing more on the human characters. But then when the second movie came out and it was more of the same, just louder and bigger explosions and whatever, that's when I was like, okay, yeah, these Transformer movies, they suck, and they do. I hate them. It's a movie about Transformers, but we're just following the humans are the main characters. It's stupid. So I hate those movies. And I don't hate Michael Bay per se. I just don't like his movies. He makes his movies and they explode and whatever, and it's fine. Go for it, man. Just stay away from my Transformers, man. That's all I ask. And then the last one, Paul Feig, or Feige, or however you pronounce his name, who directed Bridesmaids, Ghostbusters 2016. I don't like this guy. His movies are not funny. He directs mostly comedies, and they're not funny. They don't make me laugh. His response to the hate on Ghostbusters was ridiculous, and so was all the actors too who were involved, who basically were bashing on the haters and saying stupid stuff like, "Oh, they still live at home with mom and dad," and I'm like, so just because they don't like your movie, that means that they're losers. That's basically what they were saying. That's what I felt like they were saying. I'm just like, maybe you just made a crappy movie and people didn't like it, you know? So, I mean, and I've seen him in interviews, and I personally just don't like this guy. He gets on my nerves. He's only done one good thing his entire career, and that was being one of the camp counselors in Heavyweights.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's the skinny camp counselor who everybody makes fun of because he used to be fat but then lost weight, and they always pick on him. That's the only good thing he's done his entire career. Acting, directing wise, is Heavyweights. I don't like Paul Feig. I have no interest in any of his work. Like even Bridesmaids. I mean, Bridesmaids is like a 2.5 or 2. It's a chick flick with crude humor. That's all it is. And it's like 2.5 hours long. And I sat and I watched the whole thing like 10 years ago when it came on a movie channel. So I was like, okay, everybody's, talking about this movie. I'll give it a shot. And I laughed like maybe once or twice that whole time. It's not a good movie. It's boring. And it's just the man has no talent behind the camera. That's all I have to say. He's not good at any of that. I don't like him. I don't like his movies. He's just awful.
I have a fun fact for you about Heavyweights, Ted. The camp that it was shot at, I'm sitting like 10 minutes away from it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the high school, there was a high school where part of it was filmed at. I'm like even closer to that.
Dude, that's awesome. You should like go there and record yourself.
The camp is private. I think it's like a Boy Scout thing.
Oh, it is? Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah. And then the high school's a high school. I don't want to go hang around at a high school.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
That innately in itself.
I'm not talking about the high school. I'm talking about the camp.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the camp part. Jeez. But if it's private, yeah. Well, it's like, when they did when Shout released the Sleepaway Camp Blu-rays for like the second one. Well, I mean, the same area was used for 2 and 3 because it was filmed. They were both filmed at the same time, but they found the area where parts 2 and 3 were filmed, and it's just been like completely abandoned at that point when they were filming when they went there to, film the location. Like the pool was still there, but it was just filled with nasty water, and everything was overgrown, and some cabins had like collapsed or whatever. I mean, it was an interesting bonus feature, but it's like just it's like nobody had been there since they had filmed parts 2 and 3 and then left, and it's just left to rot.
Jeez.
But yeah, so that was interesting.
So for me, this one's hard for me with like the least favorite, just because I generally can find something good and whatnot. The two that I probably would go with would probably be Eli Roth. I do like Eli Roth. I think he's fucking great just because he's such a fan of the genre. But just if we're going based off of like the amount of movies that I haven't liked of his that he's done, because the only two that I've really liked are Death Wish and I do kind of like Cabin Fever. But beyond that, I haven't liked any of the other movies he's really done. So he'd probably be on that list for my least favorite. And then beyond that, I would probably go with Argento as well, just because there aren't many of his that I like. And obviously, as the years went on, his quality in movies definitely got worse, after the 70s and 80s. So, I mean, he hasn't really made a good movie in a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, like I remember trying to watch it was the last of his Mother trilogy or whatever it's called, and it was actually called Mother of Tears. Yeah. I got like maybe 20-30 minutes, and it's rare I do this, but I just had to shut it off. It was like it was like on a movie channel, so I was like, okay, I'll give this one a watch. Like 20-30 minutes into it, I was just like, nah, I can't do this. This is just not good, and I shut it off and did something else. I just, I mean, everybody has their own taste. I just think Argento is just, he's overrated. I don't think he's that good.
Yeah.
He's got a few good ones, I mean, when you have a directorial career that's like nearly 50 years, you're bound to have a few good ones. But when you have a few good movies and the rest are just hot garbage, that it's, you make my list. That's how it happens.
He's got a lot of really good producer credits.
He's produced some good movies. I think he should just stick to that.
I really like Clown. Clown was good, and Haunt was amazing. It was probably the best movie of 2019. I think.
Definitely. I would agree.
But
I haven't seen Haunt yet. I'm saving that for Halloween this year.
Haunt is amazing. You are going to love it.
I bought that big expensive Blu-ray set from Ronin Flicks. So I almost popped it in, but I was just like, we just have a few months till October, so I'm just like, I'll wait.
I liked him as an actor too, and Inglourious Basterds he was pretty good. But I can't resonate with his directed movies other than the two that we mentioned. I think it's funny that he made all of ours worst or least favorite list.
Right.
I think he's the only one that was in common for all of us.
Well, like Phenomenon, you've got Jennifer Connelly, you've got Donald Pleasance, you have a good cast for that movie. Of course, you have like Deep Red and Suspiria, like I said, and gosh, I can't remember if he even directed Opera. I think he just produced that too. I got to check that really quickly because my brain is being stupid right now. That's why we need Sean here sometimes.
Right.
He knows more about Argento than I do because I pretty much just, I don't care. But now I gotta check this out. Yeah, he did. Okay, he did direct Opera. That's right. Okay, so yeah, so you have like those 4 movies. Everything else, I just don't give a crap about.
Yeah, there's only a few of his that I actually really do like, and everything else I'm just either kind of meh or don't like. Period. So it wasn't too hard to put him on that list, but beyond that, I can't really think of many other people that have actually made good movies that I would put on that list. Because I mean, you could talk about what's his name, Uwe Boll, to fucking cows.
I was getting ready for somebody to put that on their list.
There's fucking nothing that he's made that's worth watching. I mean, he's a trash director, so fuck him.
I didn't put him on my list because I was just like, one of these other guys are going to put him on the list. I'm just not going to try.
He's not even really worth mentioning. It's just let him go into obscurity and just leave it at that.
I'm surprised no one mentioned anyone really old like Hitchcock or someone along them lines.
Hitchcock isn't in my favorites. He's done some good movies, but I'm not in love with him.
Yeah,
I love Psycho, and he did The Birds. I know people always talk about Vertigo and things like that, but he's not my least favorite either. I mean, he's made a lot of good movies, but it's just it just doesn't really resonate with me much.
Yeah,
but it doesn't. It's not like, oh man, his movies are trash, I just don't like them. No, it's not that.
I really just know Birds and the Psycho movie.
Yeah.
Rear Window is another one of my favorites. Those would probably
Rear
be the
Window.
3.
He did that. I forgot about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, with Grace Kelly. That one's always a classic, and then James Stewart. So, but yeah, those would probably be my 3 of his that I actually like are Rear Window, Psycho, and The Birds. So,
all right.
But yeah,
Okay. Don't you like Birds 2? Land's End.
I haven't even seen that. So.
I saw that once as a little kid, and I don't remember anything about it.
I am also surprised we didn't get a edition of Jason Blum from Isaiah.
Well, he's not a director though; he's just a producer.
He hasn't directed anything. Oh,
Nope, he's strictly just a producer.
Next week's episode is our favorite and least favorite producers. Isaiah will be sure to put him on there.
Fuck you, Ted. Oh shit. Any other people you guys want to talk about here before we end this?
I'll do another honorable mention for my favorites.
Sure.
I love Jim Wynorski.
Wynorski is definitely good.
I love the stuff he did in the 80s and the 90s. 2000s and beyond, it's like mostly he was forced to do like those dumb Cinemax stuff, you know, that basically are softcore pornography or whatever. But I mean, the 80s, I mean, he had like Deathstalker 2, Big Bad Mama 2. I love Big Bad Mama 2. That's a great movie. Chopping Mall, of course, and Transylvania Twist. You know, he did The Haunting of Morella, which is a really good horror film. He did great kids movies like Munchie Strikes Back. Ghoulies 4 isn't my favorite, but I know Sean loves that, so I'm throwing that out there for Sean. Yeah, he did. You know, he did some. Even the early 2000s, he did some direct to action stuff, like Treat Williams and stuff like that. Like there was Absolute Zero. What's it called? Absolute Zero. I have a bunch of them on DVD. They're in my toe box in my closet. He did a lot of that stuff in the early 2000s. Technically, Arnold Schwarzenegger did appear in one of his movies, because I'm sure we talked about this before, but back then, like, you could buy footage from studios, and he bought some footage from like Last Action Hero. So there's a shot in one of those action movies he did in the early 2000s where it's actually Schwarzenegger driving a car. It's from the back, but it's from Last Action Hero, and it's great. It's just like Arnold Schwarzenegger technically appeared in a Wynorski film. So, but yeah, I love Wynorski. He's made a lot of fun movies.
Yeah, Wynorski's
and he's written some good ones too. Like, I mean, he wrote Forbidden. Oh gosh, what was it? Forbidden World, I believe it's called. For when he's still working for Corman.
Mm-hmm.
Or Forbidden Planet. That's a good little sci-fi horror film. It's basically like Alien, but not like Alien. I don't know how to explain it, but it's an entertaining movie.
Okay. Very cool.
So, yeah, why not?
It's a good call out, because I forgot about him too. But yeah, he's made some pretty decent movies. I like it. All right, and we would also love to know what you guys think too. You can feel free to reach out to us through our social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, all at CLS Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Are there any final words as we leave?
Don't piss into the wind.
What about in dry heat?
My God.
I don't think that changes the original advice.
No, I'm actually asking you a legitimate question.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, once again, we appreciate you guys checking out this week's episode, and we will see you guys next week.
This episode of the Crystal Lake Soldiers podcast is brought to you by the Slash and Cast Podcast Network. Check us out at www.clspodcast.com or join in the conversation on social media. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at CLS Podcast. Until next time, stay safe, campers.